Hello, this video series is on Molecule. In this video, we'll look at how to use Molecule with presenters. Molecule is a library that takes a composable function. This function returns some type of a model. The function could be anything. In this case, I'm using it to create a presenter. So this library sets up the compose runtime. It sets up a recomposer, etc. And what it creates is a state flow which is provided to you. Anytime a recomposition happens, an item is pushed to the state flow. So in this library, something that's really important is the monatomic frame clock, which is provided. So whenever a monatomic frame clock sends a frame, it kicks off a recomposition, and when that occurs, the new model value is sent to the state flow. We'll look into how this works in upcoming videos, but in this video, we'll concentrate on how to use Molecule in a practical use case. What we'll use it for is to build an app that lists tasks, to-do items. You could mark these to-do items as complete, or you could create new ones. So how do you build a presenter with this for this type of simple app? So we'll follow an architecture where we have our presenter. Presenter communicates with the repository, it can make a request, and it could get a response back. The presenter creates a view model which it provides to the view. Not to be confused with an Android X view model. This view model is just the UI state. So the view, any events that occur are also propagated to the presenter. So in this video, we'll look at how to build a presenter for this use case. What we'll build first is an interface called Molecule Presenter that takes in two generics, an event and a view model, and it has a composable method called models, which returns a view model, and it also takes in a flow of events. So any presenter that we build in our app could abide by this interface. So how do we build a presenter using this interface for this page? So first thing we'll build is a class called TaskListPresenter, and we could inject different dependencies to it, and it abides and it inherits the molecule presenter interface. We'll pass in our repository to get our task. So it also will take in two generics, two types, task list events, task list view model. So the view model is basically a seal class, in which we have a loading state, we have a success state, which has a list of task view models, and an empty state. The events are basically is in a sealed interface, so the events we could take on these to do, and then these task items are the ability to complete one. You could have as many more events as you want here. So what does our logic look like in the models method that's going to return a task list view model? So what we need to do first is to create a state holder for our view model. And then the next step is to do a launched effect in which we're going to communicate with the repo to get tasks. So what we have here is a result type. And the result could be either successful or it could be a failure. When it is successful, we're going to take the response and we're going to map it and create a task view model for each task. We're going to add the description and we're going to determine whether it's completed or not. And we'll make a list of all those view models. When you have a error, we're going to return an empty state. So this is our very simple logic that we're going to have in our models method, in our models method. So first we have our state holder, and then we have a logic and our launch effect to interact with the repo to get our tasks. We also have mapping logic in there to create our view models. So then we're going to return them. So this is a very simple implementation of our presenter and the models method. The next thing that we need to do is to be able to use a launch a molecule using this library and provide this presenter. So in order to do that, this library provides hooks to be able to do that. So first thing we need to do is to create a scope, and then this library provides a main dispatcher that we could use. In the next video, I'll go more into detail into what this main dispatcher is. Plus, it has a launch molecule extension on a scope, and it returns a models flow, a state flow. So in this launch molecule method, we're also going to provide a recomposition clock, and the one that I'm using here is called context clock. There are two of them this library provides, context clock and immediate. In the next video, I'll go more in detail what they're for. The next step is to call our models method in this lambda block and to provide it to the molecule library. So we have a task list presenter, and we're calling our models method and passing also a flow of events. And I'll show you how to hook that up in upcoming videos. So this is a very simple setup of creating a presenter and launching a molecule. Next thing that we could do is that we could read the state flow and in a coroutine, and we could collect from it and pass the model that we get to our view. The view could be a composed UI function, or it could also be an Android view. It doesn't really matter. This library is really is generic. So that's what Molecule is about. This was a very simple example of how to set up a presenter. In the next video, we'll look at how frame clocks work. Thank you.